Hello and welcome everybody to our latest Journal Club presentation, Intravenous Albumin for the prevention of hemodynamic instability during sustained low efficiency dialysis, a randomized controlled feasibility trial, the SAFFOR-SLADE study. The study recently published in Annals of Intensive Care. Hemodynamic instability is a frequent complication of all forms of renal replacement therapy used in ICU settings, including SLADE. Hemodynamic instability during RRT, which is called HIRRT, lead to increase in hospital mortality, decreased likelihood of recovery of kidney function to dialysis independence, and it limits ultrafiltration, thereby perpetuates fluid overload, which further reduces the likelihood of kidney function recovery in patients with acute kidney injury. Albumin is primary contributor to intravascular colloid oncotic pressure. It works by promoting intravascular plasma refilling from extravascular compartment to compensate for fluid removal with ultrafiltration. So, hyperoncotic albumin may be administered prior to or during renal replacement therapy to prevent hemodynamic instability and or augment ultrafiltration. While several small crossover trials reported hemodynamic benefits of IV albumin, no trial is powered for clinically relevant outcomes. IV albumin is expensive and it is also not without potential harms. So, clinical trials are needed to determine albumin to mitigate hemodynamic instability in renal replacement therapy. So, this feasibility RCT compared IV 25% albumin to 0.9% saline during SLADE in ICU patients with acute kidney injury. It was a single center, double blind, placebo controlled randomized feasibility trial. ICU patients aged more than or equal to 18 years were included who were AKI stage 3 to receive SLADE as treatment. Exclusion criteria: SLADE for non-AKI indications like intoxications, kidney failure and dialysis prior to admission, allergy to albumin, pregnancy, known contraindication or objection to blood product transfusion. Patients were recruited from 30-bed medical surgical ICUs at Quaternary Academic Referral Center in Ottawa, Canada. Patients were prospectively registered and approved by Ottawa Health Science Network Research Ethics Board. Approval granted for use of deferred consent if patient incapacitated or their substitute decision marker could not be immediately reached. The study was performed as ethical standards of Declaration of Helsinki. In absence of similar previous studies, original recruitment target was 30 patients within 18 months. Following successful initial enrollment, protocol amendment was made to include maximum of 60 patients to facilitate definitive assessment of feasibility outcomes. An amendment was made prior to any data analysis. Randomization was done with computer-generated methods. Blinding used with opaque bags to cover glass albumin and saline bottle. Saline bottle specifically prepared for the study with tubing cover. Patients are treated with SLADE at this center if they were receiving vasopressor or were receiving them within past 12 to 24 hours and if perceived by the treating team as unlikely to tolerate intermittent hemodialysis. SLADE protocol in this institute was 8-hour session with dialysis temperature of 35.5 degrees centigrade, maximum blood flow rate of 200 ml per minute, maximum dialysis flow 300 ml per minute, and dialysis surface area 0.6 meter square. Dialysis concentration: sodium 140 millimoles per liter, potassium 4 millimoles per liter, bicarb 34 millimoles per liter, calcium 1.25 millimoles per liter, and it was adjusted at the discretion of the treating physician. Timing of initiation of ultrafiltration goals ordered entirely at the discretion of the treating physician, intensivist and nephrologist. Patients were randomly assigned in 1:1 location to receive 100 ml bolus of either 25% albumin or normal saline 0.9%. At start of SLADE session, then 100 ml midway at 4 hours into the SLADE session. So total 200 ml per SLADE session was received. Patient received same assigned fluid for up to 10 SLADE sessions. Primary feasibility outcomes were recruitment rate, adherence to protocol, and completeness of follow-up. If all three criteria met, then progression to future large trial considered feasible. These progression criteria were recruitment of at least 30 patients within 18 months of enrollment, recruitment of at least 15% eligible patients during the study period, less than 10% of included patients having adverse events related to interventions, that is either albumin or saline. The secondary or exploratory outcomes were measures of ultrafiltration, hemodynamic stability during treatment, and patient outcomes. Coming to statistical analysis, on analysis based on modified intention to treat approach, patients receiving at least one slate after randomization were included for analysis. Data reported as frequency percentage for binary or categorical variables and mean ST or median IQR for continuous variables. Outcomes related to fluid removal described using median IQR compared between two groups using Wilcoxon-Ransom test. Wilcoxon-Ransom test compared ICU and hospital length of stay also. ICU hospital mortality compared using chi-square test, and effect was calculated as risk difference with 95% CIs. Mixed effect model used to compare reduction in systolic blood pressure between groups to account for both within person and between person variability. Estimates are reported as least square mean difference with associated 95% CI. PI values not reported due to multiple outcome assessed and exploratory nature of the analysis. All data manipulations and statistical analysis were performed using Statistical Analysis System version 9.4 SAS 9.4. This is the conjoint diagram showing patients screened for eligibility, 97% of them. Randomization, 68 patients allocated to saline group 34 and allocated to albumin group 34. Of them in the saline group died prior to first slate session 3 and recovered kidney patients 1. Similarly, in the albumin group, the patients died prior to slate 2 patients and recovered 2 patients. So, in each group, 30 patients data was followed for analysis. Saline group 30 patients, in albumin group 30 patients. No patients were lost to follow. In the saline group, alive at ICU discharge 14 patients. In albumin group, 19 patients were alive at the ICU discharge. And dialysis dependent were 2 patients in the saline group, and dialysis dependent were 5 patients in the albumin group. So 30 patients data were analyzed in each group with 123 slate sessions in the saline group and 148 slate sessions in the albumin group. This is the baseline characteristics of the included patients prior to first slate session. The saline group and the albumin group, 30 patients in each group. Basically, the age and the Apache 2 score were comparable between the two groups. The median SOFA score at admission was almost 13 and 12.5 between two groups. The primary reason for ICU admission was mainly septic shock and respiratory failure. Indications of slate mainly pulmonary edema, hyperkalemia, and acidosis. So total 271 slate sessions. This is as per the conjoint diagram I have shown before, with 123 in saline group and 148 in the albumin group. Median IQR of slate session per participant in saline and albumin group were 3 and 4 respectively. Age and Apache scores were comparable. Several other baseline characteristics did not compare between the two groups. More patients in the albumin group, slate was initiated for hyperkalemia, and but overall pulmonary edema and hyperkalemia were commonest indications for initiation of slate. And mean pre-slate serum albumin level for saline and albumin group was 23 gram per liter and 26 gram per liter respectively. Coming to the outcomes, feasibility outcomes. Enrollment stopped once modified goal of enrolling 60 patients who received at least one slate session was achieved. 60 patients recruited over 10 months only. Fluid administration as per protocol for 244 of the 271 slate session, thereby achieved 90% adherence to the study protocol. No patients were lost to follow, no patients revoked consent after enrollment, and no adverse events to albumin or saline encountered. This is the figure showing the feasibility measures, where protocol adherence to both doses is almost 90% in both groups. The assigned albumin or placebo not given at the start of treatment, and some of the patients not given at the mid of the session. The non-study IV albumin, which almost received in 15% and 9% in both saline and albumin group respectively. This non-study albumin is almost like 100 ml of 25%. Some patients received once, or otherwise 5% of 250 ml they have given. So they were not taken into account and the non-study albumin. Coming to fluid removal during SLATE sessions. This is data from the supplement file. The UF goal, ultrafiltration goal, was comparable between the two groups. The percentage of achieved UF also comparable between the two groups. That is, no significant difference in fluid removal between the groups. After feasibility outcome, then comes the exploratory outcomes. A drop in systolic blood pressure more than 20 mmHg occurred during 39% of SLATE sessions for saline group and 25% of the SLATE sessions in the albumin group. Compared to saline, albumin group experienced smaller drop in systolic blood pressure during SLATE sessions across all definitions of hypotension assessed. These include maximal drop in systolic blood pressure from start of treatment to nadir intra-treatment value, mean difference 10 mmHg. This is the figure showing the exploratory outcome. The change in blood pressure compared to pre-SLATE. Compared to pre-SLATE value in systolic blood pressure, the albumin group had 10 mmHg less drop in systolic blood pressure. Similarly, compared to the pre-SLATE value, the post-SLATE value is the albumin group had 6 mmHg less drop in systolic blood pressure compared to the saline group. Similarly, the mean arterial pressure changes compared to pre-SLATE value has been described. This hemodynamics during SLATE session. This is showing the pre-SLATE value, the mean arterial pressure, systolic blood pressure, and the vasopressor used. The increase or start during SLATE session and post-SLATE session. The need to start or increase dose of vasopressor during this SLATE session was not statistically different for the saline and albumin group. Here in this figure, it is showing 24% of the patients needed to start vasopressor during SLATE in saline group. In albumin, it is 28%. There is no difference between the two groups. The additional hemodynamic outcomes from the supplement file. The intra-SLATE nadir systolic blood pressure less than 90 mmHg in almost 26% of the SLATE sessions in the saline group and 11% in the albumin group. And other data are shown here. The vasopressor used in pre-SLATE session, that is the start of treatment, almost 80% of the SLATE sessions in the saline group were on vasopressor therapy before SLATE and 60% in the albumin group. This was significant that before start of SLATE only 80% of the sessions of the patients had vasopressor need in the saline group, which is more compared to that of the albumin group. Then 2R, 4R, 6R and 8R into this session is shown in the figure. The cumulative vasopressor dose in norepinephrine equivalence. This nicely they have calculated how is the norepinephrine equivalent, and the saline group versus the albumin group, 0R into the session, the cumulative vasopressor dose till 8R into the session, that is end of SLATE treatment. It has been shown here. Coming to the mortality and length of stay. Almost 53% of patients died in ICU in the saline group and 36% in the albumin group. Median length of ICU stay and hospital stay did not differ significantly between the two groups. Coming to discussion, adherence to protocol is acceptable. All pre-specified progression criteria achieved. So a larger trial powered for important clinical endpoints is feasible in this patient population and clinical settings. Principal objective of this pilot study was feasibility. A number of difference between groups observed with respect to blood pressure changes. This supports the hypothesis that albumin may reduce hemodynamic instability in renal replacement therapy of critically ill patients. Albumin administration was associated with 10 mmHg less drop in systolic blood pressure compared to saline. This did not appear to have an impact on ultrafiltration volume because the ultrafiltration volume did not differ between the two groups. But important baseline difference, which I highlighted before, that is more vasopressor used at start of treatment for patients in the saline arm, 80% versus 61%. Despite evidence of widespread use of hyperoncotic albumin for hemodynamic instability in RRT, few trials have directly addressed its efficacies. This trial showed benefit in SLATE, where UF rate is lower than intermittent hemodialysis. So even in patients receiving CRRT, albumin might improve hemodynamic tolerance of fluid removal. Significantly fewer patients died in the hospital in the albumin group, but this need to follow up with large RCTs. This study's purpose was to evaluate feasibility and was not powered to evaluate this outcome. Strength of the study, it was conducted and analyzed in accordance with the previously published protocol. Data collection was detailed, broad inclusion criteria, and approved use of deferred consent facilitated a higher than anticipated recruitment rate. Adherence was 90% to study assignment. Limitations, while treatment allocation was blinded, but nurses could visually distinguish both fluids when connecting tubing for infusion. Treating physician likely remained blinded, though not formally assessed. Administration of additional fluid could be harmful. Fluid overload is associated with worse outcome in patients who require RRT, but ordered UF was achieved for both the arms. This suggested that this instrumentation did not contribute to worsening of the fluid overload. Other limitations are general estimability of these findings because this study consisted mainly of patients with septic shock. Patients were enrolled at mixed medical surgical ICUs, no cardiac surgical patient, no post-op patients were included. It was a single center study with small sample size. With respect to vasopressor use prior to SLATE, there were baseline imbalances in these study groups. Coming to conclusion, this single center RCT of IV hyperoncotic albumin versus saline during SLATE in ICU achieved all of its predetermined feasibility outcomes. Therefore, a larger scale trial is feasible. Future trials adequately powered for outcomes are needed to determine whether hyperoncotic albumin has beneficial impact on hemodynamic instability in RRT and relevant clinical outcomes for critical ill patients with AKI requiring RRT. Thank you.